Jamie, and I'm the Unicorn Recruiter. I've worked in global talent acquisition for 15 years, both as an in-house and as an agency recruiter. I'm also a leadership development coach, and I now help companies hire their top talent, also known as unicorns, and help job seekers find their next position. Join me each week for tips and tricks and how to navigate not only finding your next position, but also career development. This is the Unicorn Recruiter Podcast. Welcome to episode 6 of the Unicorn Recruiter Podcast. Today I'm going to talk about reverse recruiting. So what is reverse recruiting? I have recently seen this a lot more often. I've had more candidates or clients that I'm coaching through their career search process ask me specifically what is reverse recruiting, because this company contacted me and they want to charge me to find me a job. So reverse recruiting is where a recruiter takes a resume of a candidate and uses that to essentially get a client. I have done this as an agency recruiter. I have taken a candidate's resume and their profile and sent it over to a company, or asked them if I could send them a profile that matched a job that they had open. And I've only done this in a couple instances where, one, I felt really strongly about that candidate. That candidate is what we call an MPC, or most placeable candidate. So someone really solid in their field, typically higher level or a niche skill set, very niche development background or something like that, or executive level. And really, what you're trying to do when you do that is you're trying to get that client. However, the candidate has always known what I was doing. I've always told this candidate, I don't work with this company. They have this position open. Based on their job qualifications and their requirements, I think you'd be a great fit. Are you willing for me to try to get you, a foot in the door? If they've already applied there, obviously that's not going to work. But if they haven't, in most cases, the candidate has said yes. Please try to get me at least an interview. So I have done that. It has worked. I have placed a few candidates over the years doing that. Not a ton, but at the very least, we maybe bridged a conversation between the candidate and the client. In most cases, nothing happened. It depends. Now, that said, like I said, the candidate knew about it. If the company would not work with me or didn't respond after a certain time, I would tell the candidate, go apply on your own. Obviously I couldn't make anything happen for you. I've reached out to the connections that I have. They're not responding, or they're not interested in using me. Go ahead. Now, that's not a note to companies that if you just ignore me long enough, that's what I'm going to do every time. In a lot of cases, the candidate, wasn't interested, because they said, well, if they were truly interested, they would have responded to you and at least said, great profile, but I'm not interested. Or if they really wanted to hire or were serious about it, they would have moved on me. And I would say that's probably the case. Maybe they didn't have a budget for a recruiting fee, but I do understand where candidates would feel like that. If my resume was truly what they wanted, they would have responded to you. So I have never charged a candidate for that. I don't know any third-party agencies that would charge a candidate for that. We get paid by the client. So that's why we're trying to secure clients. That's why we're trying to get the business with the company. The company then pays us a fee based off of that first year's salary, or whatever the agreement is, or based on what we negotiate the agreement to be if we're not doing business with them. So reverse recruiting is where companies are now charging candidates for job placements. And I recently had a VP reach out to me. I knew them from a past life, and they said, hey, I worked with this company, and I initially hired them for resume reviews and some interview coaching and that kind of thing. And then they sold me on some other services, and these other services then involved job placements, but they were sending me to places that then I couldn't apply to directly because they had represented me. And now they're charging me for these services for placement because I did get hired by one of these companies. So now I'm being charged a placement fee. Obviously, there's some legal issues there, and I didn't advise on that. But what I will say, and what I told this person, is that never under any circumstances should you be paying to be placed at a client. So the company pays you, the company pays the recruiter. The recruiter does not go back to the candidate and then says, you owe me X percentage because I placed you, or you owe me a placement fee. Now, I career coach, I job search coach, I do charge for resumes and interview coaching and job coaching throughout the process, but it is nothing compared to the fees of what a reverse recruiter was charging. So, um, that said, there's a few things that I, based on this experience, would recommend you look for. If you are signing a contract for resume and interview coaching services, make sure to read the fine print. He actually signed up for like a subscription and was paying very highly aggressive fees that escalated over time based on or increased over time based on how long he'd been in his job search. And then there were some fees associated to if we place you at one of our clients, here's what you ultimately owe for our services. So make sure you're reading the contract. To flat out ask them if they're doing reverse recruiting, because one of the issues that he ran into was that he had applied and then they had also submitted him. And then, of course, the company was in a difficult position, and that's why he ended up being charged these fees because the company hired him supposedly through this agency rather than through his own application. It's a very messy situation. But make sure that you're asking those questions if you are working with a job coach or a career coach. Is this reverse recruiting? What do your placements actually look like? Does the company pay for it? I'd say any of your big name third party agencies, any of your boutique firms, any of your independent recruiters, such as myself, we're not charging you fees. It's going to be more of those career searching, career coaching type placement companies that may sneak in some of those fees. So that was my biggest takeaway from his situation. And I would say I don't think that there's a ton of this going on out there. I don't think it's necessarily recruiting scams. That's a whole other topic. But it is very similar to me in that realm, and it does feel very scammy to ask candidates to pay a placement fee. So ask those questions up front. If you are working with a career coach, there's a lot of really great, reputable ones out there. Just make sure that you read any fine print of any proposals or contracts that you sign. And if you're working through a recruiter, the recruiter should be paid from that company, not from you. So any questions, as always, you can email me at info@unicornrecruitmentandcareerservices.com or message me on any of my social media platforms. Have a great week.